Hello, everyone. I'm here with the incredible Nina Wadia or Vadia. I had the pleasure to meet her, and I'm going to talk to you guys a little bit about her. I wanted to have a chat with her because she's an amazing, iconic actress here in England, and I wanted everybody on my channel to know about her and everybody in Brazil to know about her. I know that some people know about you in Brazil, Nina, but I wanted to show
Really?
the people that I know a little bit more about you as well, because they know about Eastenders.
Oh,
So they've seen
amazing.
quite a lot there. So I'm gonna talk to you. I wanted to show you to the people that I know as well. So how are you, Nina? How's everything with you?
It's good, thank you. It's hard. It's hard right now because as you know, everywhere in the world is difficult at the moment with lockdown. And
Yeah.
ours just started again today for the second time round. So it's a bit tough.
It is, yeah. It's been a little bit hard for all of us, but we're gonna get into that a little bit. So I wanted to tell everyone how I met Nina. So we were on a flight to LA, and we were sitting next to each other on the plane. And to tell you the truth, Nina, I think I told you already that I didn't know who you were back then. I was sitting down next to you, and we had an amazing 12-hour chat, right? Because we were
Yeah.
chatting for most of the flight and we were talking about life and it was amazing to see even though you're this incredible iconic huge actress here in England, you were so humble and nice and kind to me on the chat on throughout the flight. So it was that's how we met, and then we hanged out in LA a little bit as well because you were there
Yeah,
to do a pilot for a show, right?
that's right. Yes.
Yeah, so there was we hanged out a little bit there, and then we hang out a little bit here in London as well. So Nina is amazing, and she's been very active in the British industry, in the movie industry. You did a little bit of Bollywood as well, so we're going to talk
Yes.
about that. But before we go anywhere, Nina, I wanted you to tell me a little bit about your life. So I know where you were born, and then you moved to somewhere else. So tell us a little bit about where you grew up, and where you're from, and how you
Well,
became to
I
be Nina.
grew up in a little one-bedroom flat in Bombay, in India,
Uh
now of
huh.
course called Mumbai. And I lived there till I was 9 years old. It was my mum, my dad, my grandma, my brother, my sister, and me all in one room. So yeah, it was tough. But
Uh
actually, as a
huh.
child, I didn't think it was hard at all because that's all I knew anyway. I remember
Yeah.
lots of laughter in our house, so that was nice. And then when I was 9 years old, my mum and dad come and drop a bombshell and say, right, we're moving to Hong Kong. And we
Oh
were like,
God.
why? So we ended up in Hong Kong. And
Yeah.
I was in a country where I didn't speak the language very well. I mean, luckily, there's a lot of English speakers there.
Yeah.
And then we went to a school there called Island School, where I've made some of my dearest friends, who I'm still in touch with. So I've got lots of friends I've known since I was 11 years old, which is really nice.
Uh
And
huh.
then I decided I wanted to be, well, initially I wanted to be either a writer or a dancer.
Uh
Um,
huh.
but then the kind of writing side took over, and then sort of I kind of enjoyed the acting side because there was a show I'd written for my friends to perform when I was 17 years old. And one of the girls who I'd written it for, she was not well. And I knew the
Uh
words because I'd
huh.
written it. So I performed it instead of her. And next
Oh
thing I
God.
know, um, like I was told, by my economics teacher, I must have been really bad at economics. He went, "You should be an actress." So
God.
I
Yeah.
took the hint, and then I had a choice of either going to America or coming to England to study acting. And I
Uh
love
huh.
Shakespeare. I love classical work. So I came to England, and then I just started, yeah, work.
Yeah. And and why did you become in love? Why did you fall in love with Shakespeare? Why Shakespeare specifically? Because a lot of people want to become actors and they decide to go for acting, for example, because they have a funny, hint there. They like to be a comedian or a drama actor. Why did you become in love with Shakespeare?
Well, Shakespeare was particularly special for me because as a young actor, you always want to play these romantic roles. You always want to play
Mm-hmm.
like the leading lady and his language was it's just beautiful to me. I wish I lived in those days because
Uh-huh.
Shakespeare's sort of words, they come very naturally to me. Like I don't need to look them up. I just understand what he's saying.
Uh-huh.
And for me, you know, one of the first things I ever saw was Romeo and Juliet. So I was like, oh gosh, I'd love to play Juliet one day. Isn't that beautiful? Of course, I only ever get the nanny, or I only ever got the parts that were either character parts or the comedy parts. I never got to play the leads in anything
Not
until
yet.
Eastenders, and then it was different.
Uh-huh. Good. And then, and so when you moved to England, you started to study acting, right? Where did you study again, you said?
So I went to the London Theatre School in Wandsworth.
Okay. In
Because
Wandsworth.
I wanted to go to RADA, which is the Royal Academy, but we couldn't afford it because my family is not very well off. So we went to the school we could afford, and I just was determined that I didn't care. We didn't have money. I wanted to do this. This was my passion.
And were your parents supportive of you? How was their reaction when you told them that you wanted to be an actor?
My dad was very supportive. My mum didn't talk to me for 3 months when I told her that I wasn't going to be a lawyer like she wanted. And she was like, no, fine, this has really made me unhappy. Because in India, you know, there is a real, especially in those days, in India, if you were an actor, it was like one step up from prostitution. So my mum was like, you're not going to do that profession. It's disgusting. I'm like, no, mum, it's really not like that. So
yeah, and it's different. Yeah, it's not really, you know, it's funny because in Brazil we have a lot of actors as well. Brazil is a country very famous for their soap operas. I don't know if you know about it. We have amazing long running soap operas as well. So everybody wants to be an actor in Brazil and everybody wants to be an actress, but I think they want to be an actor more because of the fame. So you see a lot of the actors in Brazil don't do theater. And the ones that do theater fall in love with theater and stay in theater because there's a huge pay difference between TV and theater. And I think it's the same here in England, right?
Oh, it is. Very much is here. And I mean, to be honest, I went into television because once I had a family, it's a better way to support your family.
Of course.
And then it's really hard when you become a mum to do theater because you don't see your children, because you go to work when they come home from school and then you're asleep because you're so tired when they have to go to school. So it's a hard life as a mum, and I wanted the balance, Tiago. I wanted everything. I wanted a family. I wanted to work. I wanted it all, and it's tough. It's really tough.
It is. Yeah, it's a very difficult job. And then you became, you know, you started with Goodness Gracious Me on the TV here in England, right?
That's right. Yes, that was my first job. It was a comedy show.
And you played different roles in there, and then you was super famous here. Still is super famous. You know, people talk a lot about it. How was for you as a young actress to start in such a big production straight away?
Well, this is the thing. We didn't know it was going to be a big production. Like when we started, I was doing a theatre show, which I'd co-written with a few friends, and the show was called "Do You Eat with Your Fingers?" And the reason for this is we wanted to do a show about what it's like to be an immigrant living in the UK. And I'd gone to an Indian restaurant with a bunch of sort of white friends, and the waiter gave everybody cutlery, but not me. And I said to him in Hindi, I said in my language, I said, can I have some cutlery? And he looked at me and he went, you eat with your fingers. Like he said, walked off.
Assuming that because you're Asian, you would be eating with your fingers,
so
right?
Like, oh, you're Indian, you eat with your fingers. So then we wrote this show, and at the same time as we wrote this show, BBC was looking for some actors to join a show they were writing called Peter Sellers is Dead. And it was a tribute to the white actor Peter Sellers, the comic, who's amazing, for playing an Indian man, like in The Party and other sketches he's done. He actually did Indian really well, but they didn't want to use the name, so instead they called this show Goodness Gracious Me, and they said, will I come and join their show? So I went and joined it, and it just, even after the first series, it just went through the roof. And I remember I was in Canada. That's when I met my husband, when I was in Canada. And he said to me over there, like we were dating, he was like, oh, are you famous? I'm like, no one knows who I am. And then I come back to the UK, the show's been on TV, and everyone's like, oh, hello, Nina. And I'm like, why is everyone talking to me? Yeah. It was so fast, I cannot tell you. And this was the days before social media, This was just from people watching comedy on TV because they liked comedy.
From the TV. Yeah.
And so before I knew it, I was suddenly like a TV star, and I'm thinking, this is so weird.
And you were catapulted in a way, in the media, so people knew who you were, and you became almost a household name straight away, because then you went straight to Eastenders, right? Because for everybody in Brazil, that if you don't know about it, so Eastenders is probably the longest running soap opera here in England,
second
right?
longest, I think. Yeah.
Second longest. So it's been running for a very long time, and actors, usually stay and are very well known. And Nina played Zainab Masood, right? What's her name?
Yes, I did. She was quite a character.
She was quite a character, and it was something amazing because you were the mother of a gay man, right? So how was it for you to play that character? How did you feel, and how was it? The mood in England, and were people talking about it? How was the reception of the public?
Well, it was a crazy time because it was the time when, there were a lot of sort of terrorist threats and things going on, and sadly by the Muslim community, the Islamists, I should say.
Yeah.
And so they wanted me to play a Muslim woman. And I remember when I went for the meeting, they said, "Are you okay to do that?" And I was going, "I'm an actor, so I'll play anything, And they said, "But the thing is, we want to bring you in because the show is quite a serious show. Soaps can be very, very heavy." And they said, "But we want you to come in and make it funny. We want you to bring some humor to this character."
Yeah.
So I was thinking, how do I do this? How do I make a serious, grumpy woman funny? And my husband said, "Be yourself," which was not funny. But then there was this great thing where I thought, you know what? When people are blunt in life, right? So if someone says like, "Oh, does my bum look big in this skirt?" My character would say, "Yes, it does." And the audience will find that funny, and she'll go, "Why are you laughing? You asked me, I told you." So I thought a blunt quality would be great for her. So it started with this, and originally I was meant to be playing a woman with like a single mum with her daughter. And so I was like, okay, well, this is good, but it'd be nice to have a full family. So next thing I know, they had brought in a husband for me, and some children. And then in my real life, I have a lot of Muslim friends, and one of them is a gay man. And so I thought, wouldn't that be a great storyline to put out there, because it's something that people don't talk about. So next thing I know, like they were jumping at the story, and they said, "This is a great storyline." And so we had, this actor called Mark Elliott came along, who was one of my dearest friends. He played my gay son in it. And there's not much difference with us. We were playing like there's 25 years difference. There's 8 years difference between us. So I was playing 10 years older than I am. He was playing 10 years younger than he is. And we sort of were in the middle. So we were like really good friends. And then and it just really, really worked. And there was a big hoo-ha about it, because there was a story arc, and it lasted like our storyline for him lasted like almost 4 or 5 years. And what was great about it is my character learnt, because she starts off as someone who's very homophobic. She is like, "No, you cannot have someone who's gay in your family."
A gay son. Yeah.
Oh yeah. She was horrible, actually. But it was important for her to learn that lesson as time went on. And lots of things happened in those few years. We had a lot of backlash from the communities. But in the end, people fell in love with these characters. My favorite moment is when someone stopped me in the street, and this woman, and she went, "Oh my God," she says, "when you come on television, my husband throws things at the television. He hates your character." I said, "Yes."
That's when you know you're doing a good job. Yeah. Because that's when you know that people believe you're that person.
Exactly.
Nina, and how was, so the community, the Asian community wasn't a big fan of that, because you were touching on a subject that is very very not spoken in the community, but well, at least wasn't spoken back then.
Older Asian community felt that way. The younger community was so happy. So happy, because they have never had the opportunity to do this. And my fan mail, oh my gosh, if I told you about my fan mail, it changed. It changed from, "Haha, she's so funny," to, "I've come out to my parents, thank you so much." I'm like, oh my God. I'm going to be blamed for a breakup
Yeah.
of family.
But for the good stuff
But
as well.
for a
It was
good thing, yes,
if it was
definitely.
something that it was very important at the time for you to be bringing up to the attention, and because it was such a big part in such a big soap opera,
Yeah.
it was incredible what you did, and it was amazing. That's why I wanted to talk on that. And then you did a lot of different things. So you did Vicar of Dibley as well. You did
Yes.
Hobby City Skins, Doctor Who. And then you did the latest one that you did was the Isolation Stories. You want to talk to us a little bit about it, and what is it?
Yeah, that was really weird because that came off the back of Aladdin. So I did Disney's Aladdin. I had a scene in that, which was great fun.
Yeah.
And then after that, we were in lockdown, and then they were like, work stopped. It just stopped, like
Completely,
for everybody. And I didn't know what to do with myself because, as actors, like we're very social people. We always like to be around people and laughing and joking. And all of a sudden, it's like, no, you can't do that. I was halfway through a new series, which will be out next year, Stephen Merchant's new comedy called The Offenders.
Yeah,
and,
The Offenders, yeah.
Yeah.
So you were shooting now in March, right? So you were
That's
still...
right, yeah.
Yeah.
And that's it. Just suddenly stopped. And then I came home and I was like, oh gosh. So then 2 months into it, I get this phone call from ITV and they said, we've written this thing and it's a scene in which you're playing a colleague who's really suffering with the pandemic and really can't deal with it. And it's only a small scene, but it was in this little show. And we got a camera sent to the front door and it was disinfected and I had to set it up myself and the lighting and this and that. And I realized very quickly, I'm not good at doing all that by myself. And it's a scene that would have taken in a TV studio maybe 2 hours. It took us 8 hours to film this one scene.
I can imagine because of all the adaptations, right? They had to do.
Yeah. So it took a long time to get that. And the poor soundman was pulling his hair out. He was like, I can't hear you properly. I can't do this, So
let's do it again. But you managed to, throughout the pandemic, right, adapt your work, right? So first of all, how have you dealt with it at home? Because I know you have 2 kids and a husband. You have a full house all the time. So how did you adapt being at home with everyone? And also, how did you adapt your work?
No, I do. There's a lot of, no, I'm in a call. Shh, go away. And all of this kind of stuff. That's been difficult. We've set up, you'll laugh at this. We've set up a studio in the back. So because my husband's a composer, so he does his music now from the studio in the house. And then there's a little bit there where we hang a duvet to make a recording booth. So if I do voiceovers for things, he's got a mic set up for me and I'm hiding in this little room doing my voiceover work. So
it's a little tent for you.
Yeah, it is. It's a little house in a house. So I've been trying to do that. I've been trying to write again and do some of that stuff. But it's been a really weird ride with the pandemic because it started off as, oh, this is so scary. What do we do? Then we've adapted. We've made a few things work. Then there's the fear. Well, both of us are self-employed, so there's no money coming in the house. What do we do? How do we keep that going? And my kids, of course, they were trying to study, but then they don't want to study. It's just like lots of madness.
It's trying to find that balance.
Yeah, it is. And that is very stressful. And I discovered mindfulness, which I've not done before. So I discovered that, like little bits of meditation, which I've never done. And then I got your lovely videos. So that was really exciting because that was something new for me to try and do. And it's actually really toned me and I love it. I absolutely love it. And I think you're amazing to do that.
Thank you. I love, health and fitness, as you know, and I love exercising. And I'm trying, because I found myself as well, during the pandemic, because, I lost my job and then I was at home and I was like, what can I do with my time that will keep me sane and will help everybody else as well? So that's why I started, doing, my fitness videos. And I also started doing this because I wanted to show the people that I know, different people that do amazing work like you. So I started with Portuguese speaking interviews first. I wanted to talk to people that I knew back home. There was a lady that runs this charity for patients that have breast cancer
right.
in my hometown.
Yeah.
Because in my hometown they have no care for women that have breast cancer. It's a
Oh
huge
my.
taboo to talk about it as well.
Yeah.
So she started their own breast cancer charity. So I wanted to have a little chat with her and talk to people that do different good work and different,
Yes.
you know, modalities, and you are one of them. That's why I wanted to show everybody about that.
Thank
and the
you.
meditation when you were talking about is been helping me a lot as well, because I've been very kind of, you know, up and down. We all been up and down because of this, you know, we're in lockdown again and we're here stuck at home. But we got to find a way of, you know, keeping fit mentally and, you know, our body and our mental
Absolutely.
health. And I've heard that you've been working out every day, right? 1 hour with your daughter.
I have, yeah. So that's,
yeah, tell me about that.
Also, I had to, because so 3 years ago, my son got diagnosed with type 1 diabetes. So it kind of like changed our lives a bit.
Yeah,
you know,
completely, right?
So type 1 is not related to what you eat. Type 1 is, they still don't know how you get it, but it basically means that he has to inject himself if he wants to eat any food.
Mm-hmm.
And it made us, you know, we feel bad because it's painful. So, you know, I wanted to do something that made him feel like we were all taking sort of part with him and just being healthy and looking after ourselves. Because if you eat healthy, then your blood sugars don't go up and down like crazy.
Yeah.
So in a way, that's what started me off. And then I got excited about that. And, you know, my daughter's 16 and she's always exercising. She wants her waist to be like 10 inches or something. So she's always exercising. She's like, come on, Mum. So because of them, I started working out. And now every day I have to do my half hour or else I don't feel good. And since doing that since March, you know, I've lost about 25 pounds in weight, which is ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
But it's been brilliant. And I've not been doing it with dieting. I've been just doing it by eating healthy and exercising.
And exercising,
so
yeah. It's the most sustainable way as well, right?
Completely.
Of doing it, because you do little by little. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's been a good thing, you know?
I completely agree with you. Let's talk about the type 1 diabetes that your son was diagnosed. I know it's a very important subject as well for us to talk about it, because when people think about diabetes, people only think about the diabetes of people that eat very not healthy, eat junk food, eat a lot of sugar, because a lot of people link diabetes with sugar. But there's a type 1 diabetes that has nothing related with the way you eat.
No.
They call it acquired diabetes, right? It's the one that you have it and you're born with it, let's say, or something happens that they don't know what it is,
and something can trigger it. So
yeah, it's a little bit. It's a very difficult situation to be in. It's a very difficult condition. So talk to us a little bit. You know, how did you find out that Aiden had diabetes? Because I have a friend that has diabetes as well, and he found out because every time he went to pee, there was ants in the toilet.
Yeah. Oh, really?
So they figured out, because they say that when you have diabetes type 1, your urine is very sweet. So you would see sometimes ants coming to your toilet. If there's any splash of urine around, they will come for the urine. That's one of the signs for you to see if you're diabetic or not as well.
Well, the signs that we're told about here is, yes, you get up in the night to pee, and your pee has a very funny smell about it. You eat and eat and eat, but you don't put on any weight. And you're constantly kind of if you're hyper, that means you've got too much blood sugar. You feel like you're going to throw up. And if you are, or you can pass out if you're hypo, you don't have enough sugar in the body. So, but with my son, it was a really weird thing, because we were on holiday in Thailand, and you know, he was just running and playing and jumping in the pool, and we were zip wiring and doing all kinds of activities. And he was eating loads. But he's always been skinny, my son. So I thought, oh, he's having a growth spurt. Then I noticed he's drinking loads and loads of water, because you get very thirsty if you have type 1.
Yeah, because it's 40 degrees in Thailand as well. So you wouldn't think, oh,
exactly. So I thought, why, you know, he's just thirsty, because we were thirsty. Yeah. The only difference was he was the only one in the family getting up at night to pee. And again, like, you know, as a mum, you just, oh, well, he's little. He's only 10 years old. He's got a small bladder. That's why he's going. So everything had an excuse. And then on the flight coming home, oh, Tiago, it was terrifying, because he collapsed on the flight. His eyes rolled into the back of his head. Basically, he was hyper. he'd had too much sugar in
Too
him.
much sugar.
And so I was, like, you can imagine, my heart, I was just, I
could
thought the
imagine. It's a
worst
long
thing.
flight as well.
I couldn't wake him up. We were screaming. I was like looking for a doctor on the flight. You know, it was horrible, horrible.
Yeah.
And then we got home. He slept through that night. The next day, and this was the weird thing, next day he seemed like he was back okay. He was fine. I'm thinking, this is so weird. Maybe it was a virus. Everyone kept saying it's a virus. It's a virus. It's a virus. I'm like, what virus? But the interesting thing was the November before. So this, I'm talking about 8 months before he was diagnosed. He had got a virus at school. All the other children recovered from the virus, but he threw up every other day for 2.5 months.
Oh, wow.
And they kept saying, oh, we think it's the novo virus. We think it's this virus. And so we were like, but this doesn't feel right. It doesn't sit right with me. Anyway, so then he started the throwing up again. And I thought, oh my goodness, something is really not right. And you know, your like instinct as your parent, you just go, okay.
You're a mom, you know him. Yeah.
Exactly. We just took him. We took him straight to St. Mary's and the hospital. And they, you know, took one prick of his finger and they said, did you not know he's type 1? And I said, type 1 what? What are you talking about? And they went, type 1 diabetes. And I'm like, I don't know what that, like, what's type 1? I don't understand. So then they told us, and I said, all this time, this poor boy, because we didn't know, you know, he's been, like, just, we didn't know how to treat him. And so now my big thing is, I decided to join JDRF. JDRF is the Juvenile Diabetes Research Fund. They're a massive charity that's looking for prevention, treatment, and cure of type 1. So everything I do, any money I make, it's just going to get the cure, because that's my biggest thing in life. I want them to find a cure in his lifetime. And believe me, they are very close. They are so close. But in the meantime, there's technology.
We need to put the word out there as well, because there's a lot of people that don't know about it, don't know that you can help a charity. I'm going to leave the link with the charity, because I found the charity. I'm going to leave the link here, so if people want to donate, you know, they accept any donation. So anything that you can donate.
Every little bit of money helps, because, you know, type 1, I'll tell you what's really scary, Tiago, is that type 1, with the pandemic, it's scary because you don't want, if anything, you know, bad happens, to go to a hospital right now. You don't want to do that. Yeah, of course. And also the other thing is, what we've noticed, like at his school, before the pandemic, there were only 2 people in his school who had type 1. After the pandemic, there's about 8 children at school with type 1.
It's crazy.
Which is making me go, is there a link between viral infections and the bringing on of type 1? So there's a big study being done. You know, that some doctors feel that there is a possibility, there's a link. So if we can raise money and find a cure, then anybody who gets it, you know, you're okay. You can take care of it. So it's we want to do something preventative.
Yeah, and what I always tell people is, information is never too much. There's a lot of people that they don't know that there's a type 1 diabetes. They don't know the difference between type 1 and type 2. Even the type 2, for example, is reversible. You can go back to being normal if you adjust the way you eat. But the type 1 is a condition that needs to be treated, and it needs to be very carefully treated. The patient needs to be walking around with a little, I saw your son with a little, I don't know the name of the little device.
You can get a sensor, and he also has a pump now. So technology has changed his life. And in fact, it inspired me to write a little book. So there's a little book called Bionic T1D, and it's to make children from the age of about 5-6 years old to understand what it is. And it's a funny little book. It's got cartoons in it, and it's writing, and it's just to make anybody who has a child who has this to feel normalized. You know, because the thing about my son is, he said, you know what's the worst thing about type 1? He said, for him, it's that he doesn't like to feel different. That's the thing for him. For me, I didn't sleep again, Tiago, after he got diagnosed. I haven't slept, because you have to check his blood sugar 2-3 times in the night.
All the time.
He's okay. You know, because it's terrifying. Because
I think it's the worst if you go down too much, you go into a coma, right? They say, the doctors say, it's the coma that is very difficult, and it's very
It's
problematic
fatal.
if you're in
No,
hypo.
it's
Yeah,
fatal. You can die from it, and that's very
yeah,
scary. And the other one is the hyper. You can get
yeah.
something called ketoacidosis, which means
Mm-hmm.
your organs can stop working. Like you can get
Yeah,
kidney failure, you can get this,
yeah.
that. It's a type 1 is such a difficult condition to live with. And,
It is.
at least he's at home just now, but then you think, what will happen when he's older? But
But I
hopefully,
think, that he also learned as well. I saw that he's very intelligent. And then, they have to learn in how to count the carbs because,
yeah,
carbs, for people that don't know, carbs are sugars and the
yeah,
sugar is a problem. So everything that you eat has sugar on it. So they become very aware of what they're eating and they
yes,
become very, very educated in how to take care of themselves as well and learn to choose as well. I'm not going to eat this today because my
sure,
blood sugar is either high or, low. Or they
yes,
learn
yeah,
very well. But as a mother, probably it must be very difficult for you because you never know, what's
yeah,
going to
you just
happen
don't.
if
And
he's,
you just want your kid to be well. That's all you
of
care about.
course. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's why I'm going to leave the link down here so everybody can go there and take a look at them as well. And
thank
I'm going to
you.
leave the Diabetes UK as well because
Yes,
I know it's
please.
the other charity that's pretty good and taking care of people with diabetes in general.
Yes.
The other thing that I wanted to talk as well, because I know that you have a lot of, well, we're just going to go back a little bit to your movies. I have it here, Bender Like Beckham, Namaste London, I Can Think Straight, Finding Fatima, that I loved, that I
Yes.
saw it. It was a different subject that
A
you
very
never
different
think
subject.
a mother would be, looking for a boyfriend, or a girlfriend at the same time as a son
Yes.
online. It was amazing. And there's a Death in Paradise. Is the
Yes.
last one that you were doing it. It was in Guadeloupe, right? That you
That's
were.
right. Oh my God, dream
So,
job for any actor. We
yeah,
we
tell
fight for
us
that
a little
job.
about it. Death in Paradise, what it is,
So
and your
it's
experience.
yeah, it's basically it's set on an island, and so we go to Guadeloupe, the French Caribbean
Yeah,
island,
it's
and you
beautiful.
basically like there's a detective there, and the detective was played by Ardal O'Hanlon, who is a fabulous actor in the UK. And he is playing this detective, and then they have people who come in, and every week there's a murder on the island. They always joke it's the worst island to ever go on holiday. Someone always
But
dies.
it's beautiful.
Oh, it's stunning. But I got very lucky because I wasn't murdered and I wasn't there, as a suspect. I actually went to play his love interest. And
Uh-huh.
it's very funny because Adil and myself are both very, very shy people. So we had to, on the first 2 days of filming, we had to kiss. And you will laugh. We banged teeth. We were so clumsy. And so we made it a thing. We said, oh, this is what the characters should be like. They should just be
They're
very
gonna bang
awkward
teeth.
with each other. And it worked, And so I got to go for 4 episodes, which means I was there for over 2 months.
For a long time.
Oh, it was heaven. And I'm
I can
so
imagine.
glad that happened just before the pandemic because I feel like I'd done something. So it wasn't hit so hard then when it happened. But so yes, it's a very fun show and it's very relaxed. You can imagine filming in the Caribbean is a very relaxed thing. So everybody's got a glass of rum from about 11 in the morning.
Of course.
But it's good fun.
And the weather is always good, right? And the cast was nice as well. And when is it going to be out? Is that next year, right?
So Death in Paradise was out in January.
Yeah.
And they'll be repeating it, I'm sure, again.
Okay.
So, yeah.
And then we have the Offenders, the one that you were recording in March.
We had to stop filming that. That's picking up filming again, hopefully at the end of the year. And I've just got a Netflix series, but I can't talk about that one yet because I've signed that form that you have to sign. So I'm like,
no disclosure.
No disclosure, but it's a really cool series. I'm hoping that will, be shown at the end of next year. And then right now, and this will make you laugh, I'm doing a series for I think it's Channel 4. It's called Can I Improve My Memory? And
what is it about?
It's basically learning different techniques and being able to learn different subjects very, very quickly. And one of them, I don't know if I'm allowed to tell you, but one of them I'm learning a language and I have 5 days to learn a language. So, and you have to use all the different techniques to do it. And there's a really, really cool technique, which I'll tell you very quickly about it. I don't know, what's your memory like? What is your memory like?
My memories used to be better. Now it's not too good anymore. So it's a little bit, I have a short-term memory, very good, long-term memory, a little bit.
That's exactly like me. So you have an actor's memory.
Yeah.
So
I can pick it up quickly.
you have to pick up quick. So there's this
Yeah.
thing they taught us, which is called the memory cloakroom. So it's like you take a bunch of cards and you write the numbers 1 to 10. And then behind the number, you write what the number 1 looks like to you so you can imagine it quickly. So my numbers are now no longer numbers, they're pictures. So instead of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, I would say, for example, I would say candle, swan, heart, because a 3 on its side with thing, sailboat for 4, and snake for 5.
Yeah.
So then when you're doing a shopping list, let's say you want to buy bread, eggs, and milk, you would say, bread. Okay, so you imagine the bread on fire. So you're going for shopping. So you said, oh yes, my bread wasn't fire. I need bread because it's a candle for number 1. Swan is number 2. So you say, I want eggs. Oh, swan lays eggs. Fine.
Yeah.
And number 3, you think, okay, so a heart. I'm going to buy a chocolate cake. So I love chocolate cake. So then and then when you go somewhere, you go, oh, what did I need to buy? And you go, oh yes, fire. My bread was fire. I need bread. Oh, swan number 2. Oh yes, he lays eggs. Like that. And it's brilliant.
It's incredible.
It's such a good system.
It is, but it's difficult to, in a way, I think, if you're not used to it, it's hard to get the grip on it. But once you do it, it's amazing. I think learning a language is always very difficult as well. So you're learning a language. What did you have to learn besides the language?
I have to learn something like 200 words. I have to learn how to go on a date with someone. And I have to learn pronunciation. You get scored points on all of these things. So, and my language, although I cannot tell you the language, I can tell you there's a lot of in it.
So it's not Portuguese.
It's not Portuguese. Do you know Portuguese was one of the options? I so wanted to learn it. I was desperate to get Portuguese because I have you as my Brazilian. I have lots of Brazilian friends here. And I would have surprised my friend Luciana. I would have just gone in and suddenly spoken in Portuguese. So she'd be like,
can you imagine? She would have loved it, and I would have loved it too. Well, if you want to learn, you have me and Luciana. They can teach you anytime.
I'm doing it. That's it. And
that's
I've got
all good.
Technique for learning language now.
You do indeed. So, and I saw that going back to the charities, you support all the type 1 diabetes, of course. And I have here the one that you were talking about, domestic violence for Asian community.
Yes.
Right, that you were talking on your Instagram about it.
Because you know what's happened in the pandemic, don't you, Tiago, with domestic violence? It's risen by something like 400%. It's crazy. It's crazy because people have nowhere to let their frustration and anger out. And if you're already in a situation where there is abuse, it's 10 times worse.
Yeah, and they don't have where to go because they're scared that, how am I going to leave the house now? Where am I going to go? Or who do I speak to? Because with the whole thing, we can't leave the house.
Exactly.
And I think the fact that we're together in the house as well all the time, I think it kind of aggravates the whole situation, right?
Of course, of course.
So you were talking about this on your Instagram, that is very incredible.
Yeah.
And I think in the Asian community as well, people don't want to talk a lot about it as well. And it's good that you were talking about it as a woman as well.
I'm so glad. No, it needs to be. It needs to be. It's a very dangerous situation.
For everyone, not just for the Asian community. And the other one was, you were talking about the women's rights activists that were locked up because they were demanding equality.
Yes. Did you know
Saudi?
About Saudi Arabia? Yeah. There are women still in jail because they wanted to drive a car. Can you believe the madness? Is that even possible in this day and age that you get tortured and put in jail because you drove a car because you're a woman? You
wanted to drive, because I was reading about it. So the king had released them and said you can drive in 2018, I think, and then he took the rights away again.
Yeah.
So and then he arrested a bunch of women that were, the women rights activists, and they're still arrested to this day, right?
They are, and there's Amnesty's campaigning for their release. To say this is unfair. Because they don't want much in life. It's not much to ask to drive a car. They're not asking to do something bad to another human being. They want the same rights as men. And honestly, all over the world, women are struggling. They're really, really struggling. And this pandemic is not helping people, you know, it's like
Mhm.
keeping people down and keeping people sort of held back. So they need to have a voice. It's important.
That's why, when I was wanting to talk to someone as well, I know that you're an amazing actress, and we don't need to talk a lot about your work because your work itself talks about, yourself.
You're very
We
sweet.
don't need to explain a lot, but you're very vocal about, helping other people and giving opportunity to, new actors and new people that are doing different things, and also to a lot of charities that you help, that I think is very important. When I saw that you were talking about diabetes and the ladies in Saudi, that I thought it was crazy that they can't drive. It's 2020. Why are we still talking about this? This shouldn't be an issue. So if you want to go to the Amnesty UK Instagram, then you can help us to have a voice, to maybe send a message. I know that the King Solomon has an Instagram. We can go there and send him a message.
Yes, we should. I know that lots of actresses, we did these videos, and all of them have been forwarded to him, because he needs to know. He has to stand up for women. It should be his job to say there is equality. Without women, there's no life. There's no life.
100%. I had a friend that went over there to work, and she had to sit on the front seat of the taxi driver. There was a driver that came to pick her up. She had to sit in the front seat because they were carrying a box. So the box was in the back seat. She sat in the front seat, and they were going to work. She was arrested by the religious police because she wasn't married to the driver.
Oh my Lord. Isn't it ridiculous? Isn't it ridiculous?
She was trying to explain. She was like, I had to sit in the front seat because there's a box, as you can see, that I don't fit in the back seat. And of course, I'm not married to him. He's the driver that came to pick me up, to take me to work. And the religious police stopped her and arrested her, and it was a big deal. She had to find a way. She was working for someone from the royal family. She had to get in touch with them and say, I'm arrested. Can you please come and take me? Because I sat in the front seat and I didn't know. And the driver didn't know her either. Saying, you can't sit in the front seat with me.
That's crazy. Well, I'm not sitting in the front seat in Saudi, I can tell you that with anyone.
Unless it's your husband driving.
I'll just pretend he's my husband. If they ask me, yes, that's my husband.
He's happy, Anyway. So Nina, I think our conversation is over. Is there anything that you want to tell everyone? Is there anything that you want to put it out there?
Sure, I would definitely say, these are tough times, and you will have days that are great and you will have days that are awful, but always know, that there is someone you can talk to, there's someone you can call, just watch something that cheers you up, and I'm just sending love to everybody. I'm sending positivity, kindness, goodness, happiness, just throwing it out there, because there's so much darkness in our lives right now. So if everybody just puts their positive energy out there, we'll wish this bloody virus away once and for all, because it's horrid.
Yes, and we need to stand together as well. So that's what I tell everyone.
Definitely.
We're together. Yeah, we're together. All right, Nina. Thank you very much, darling. Thanks for the chat. Everybody support the charities. I'm going to leave everything on the video here down in the description. Everybody can go there and support the charities that Nina support as well, and that I support. And thank you for the chat. You're amazing. And once all this is over and you're here in Central London, let me know, and then we'll get together.
Done. All right. Stay safe, stay well.
Okay.
Bye.
You too. Ciao, Nina. Bye.